Hey, 228. In this video, we're going to talk about assembly drawings. So I've got this cool assembly that I've put together. I don't know, it's kind of like giraffe-like. But I need to make a drawing sheet. So I'm going to go to New, Make Drawing from Part/Assembly, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to? Oh, nope, I already have a drawing file, which is why it's asking me this, but I'm going to go ahead and say no so that I can open up a new one. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my KU size B template. I think that'll work. All right, let me get my screen. Okay. So I could do a couple of things. I could go in my view layout tab. I could do a standard 3 view. I can go over to my view palette and pull in a view. I think I'm going to pull in my current view. And I can see all of those origin points, which is making things really messy. So I'm going to go in and just remove those. I also want to see the color. So in my menu here, instead of having my hidden lines visible, I'm going to select this setting so that the shaded with edges so that I can see the colors. I'm also going to change the scale. Instead of doing a 1:1, I'm going to do a 2:1. Yeah, that fills out the sheet a little bit nicer. I'm also going to rotate this part a bit. So I'm going to go up to like my heads up toolbar here, and I'm going to select my 3D drawing view. Once I've clicked it, I can click on the view, and it automatically is in this rotate, and I can drag my mouse around and rotate my view nicely on the screen. Yeah, so I like the way that looks. What I want to do now, let's add a bill of materials. So if I'll go to my annotation tab right here, and then navigate to tables, little drop-down menu, I can go to bill of materials. By selecting the view, it's going to automatically populate this BOM for me. BOM, bill of materials. I can go in and mess with some of these settings. I can, but let's start by just standard. So I'm going to click my green check, and now I've got this floating piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and snap it to that top corner. Now, I also happen to know that because we're using these Lego parts, and we talked about this, we don't really care about the description. So I'm going to click the C, which will make that whole column highlight, and then hit delete on my keyboard. But one of the things we also know is how important it is to be able to communicate information. And I don't know about you, but that text is a little small. It's a little hard to read. So I'm going to go into my settings, which is that little gear, options. I'm going to navigate over to document properties, tables. So if I'll hit tables and then go to font, I can change the size, and it was already at a font like 13. Let's bump it up to 18. Okay. Yeah, I like the way that text looks. It's a little bit nicer. I'm going to squeeze this together a little. Maybe make this part come together. Oh, and maybe I want everything nice and centered. Great. Next thing I want to do is add balloons. So it happens that I'm going to add balloons to my isometric view over here. And so again, in my annotation tab, I'll navigate over to balloon. So I'm going to click on the part and then drag my mouse to where I want my balloon to go and click again to place it. Now, notice that it started with 4. It's because it corresponds to the number in your bill of materials. You can go in and manually manipulate it if you don't want it to start at that number. In cases where it's pretty obvious, I'm only going to put balloons on pieces that are unique. So there's really, I can see pretty clearly that those two pieces are identical. And so I really don't need to put a balloon on each one. Like, that's just wasted. It's not really giving you more information. I'll go in and delete it. Block my connector. I'm using one of my balloons. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So I've got balloons on my piece. And maybe now I want to make my sheet nice and messy and add an exploded view. So I'm going to go back to my part drawing, or my assembly drawing, I guess. And in my assembly tab, I'll go to exploded view. And I want to do the regular step. That'll be the automatic default. But I can click on a part, and then I can translate by clicking on my XYZ axis and then dragging the part up. So I'm going to go through and translate my part to get an exploded view. In general, I want it to be basically lined up how it would come back together. You can also select multiple parts. And pull them at the same time. So when I've got it how I want, I'm clicking in a blank area of my graphics screen. Nice. So once I've got it how I'd like, I'm going to hit my green check. And I'm going to go back to my drawing sheet. So if I go back to my view palette, I'm not out of date, but I can refresh that view palette. And I can pull in my isometric exploded view. So now I've got this. So I'm going to rotate it again. Yeah, and so that gives a pretty clear view of how the assembly comes together. Now, if you've created more than one assembly view, let's just go do that. So if I go back to my part drawing, if I hit exploded view again, you can see, like, so it'll snap back together, and I can go for another exploded view. And so, well, let's just, for some reason, I want that specific piece only. So now I can go back to my part drawing, and I can change this exploded view. So when I click in the view, I get my pop-up here, and I can choose, do I want that first one that I created, or do I want the second one? And you can see when I switch which view, it's changing the way the part is exploded. So if you get hung up and it's not showing the exploded view that you want, perhaps you've done a few exploded views, and so you need to click on the part and navigate to your most recent exploded view. And that is it for our assembly drawings. Good luck on the homework this week.